Liftoff will start in T-minus 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition.
It's time! 17 seconds from game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan open. Chicago with the lead. Harden got a piece of it. It comes off. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Tying run at second, 2 out. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
To the far side around the 8-yard line to Hester. Under it and to the middle with the 15 to the 20, break 3 to the 25 to the 30 to the outside. 40, midfield, 40, 30 to the coast, 20, 15, Hester 5. Oh! Touchdown!
Toward Bryant. He will glove it to Rizzo. It's in time. And the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this House Music Monday edition. I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. Thanks for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, well, then I guess you found us on Facebook. And if you're not following us on Facebook, what? Come on, go to Facebook, type in Sports Zone Chicago, click the like button, and now you're following Sports Zone Chicago. Simple. But wait, there's more. Go to the show's page, go to Shawn and Maya in the morning, like that page as well. So not only will you be following Sports Zone Chicago, but you'll be following Shawn and Maya in the morning as well. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, excellent. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, for real, come on. Go to YouTube, type in Sports Zone Chicago, click the subscribe button, but also click the notification button. That's the little bell right next to it, and that'll let you know anytime a show from Sports Zone Chicago is going live. Get it? Got it? Good. Now, watch this on our mobile app. Please don't tell me you didn't know we had a mobile app. Come on, baby. Listen. So you got to go wherever you get your apps from. And it doesn't matter where you get your apps from, whether it's iTunes or Google Play or Amazon or Walmart or Kmart or 7-Eleven, Zayre, Zemsky, Macy, Montgomery Wards, Woolworths, Weebles, Goldblatts. Doesn't matter. You go there, you type in Sports Zone Chicago, you download it. You take us with you on the go. So not only do you get Shawn and Maya in the morning 3 days a week, not only do you get our other live shows throughout the week, and not only are they archived there like they are on Facebook and YouTube, but I'll tell you what, we give you a slew. And I mean a slew of articles thanks to my man Clarence Council III. Big up to Clarence for keeping you abreast of all articles Chicago sports related. Now, if you're watching this on our Roku channel, I like that kind of party, baby. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Sports Zone Chicago, we have our own Roku channels. If you have a Roku television in the house, do us a favor. Download Sports Zone Chicago's channel right to your television. All right? Right there, right to the television. Okay, put us there next to the big boys, all right? Netflix, Hulu, Apple, Prime Video, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Stars. Do it. And you can watch us on the big screen. Hell, run a big screen, right, Mickey? Now, if you want to tweet the show, you can tweet us at Sports Zone Shy. That's CHI at Sports Zone Shy. But if you want to follow me, just me personally online, you want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. I made it nice and easy for you folks. Nice and easy. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. Listen, we got a great show, but I need you to get interactive. So whatever platform you're watching us on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or our mobile app, leave a question or comment on that platform. It'll come up here in the thread. We'll put it up on the screen. We'll incorporate it into the show. And that, my peoples, is what makes this the best morning Chicago sports talk show around. And that's you. So bring them all, baby. Questions, comments, smart-ass remarks, because ain't nobody scared over here. I like the Rock said, baby, don't sing it. Just bring it. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. The chat is moving. We moving. Yeah. Grooving. Yeah. Hey! Levette Lee checking in early. Good morning, Mama. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. She's like, happy House Music Monday, y'all. She also says, sup, Shawn. Sup. Sup. I mean, Armando Emeterio Lara Jr. is in the house. He's like, bear suck, and so are the McCaskies. Well, how do you really feel? And he also asks, how dusty is the victory chain? It's very dusty. It's very dusty. It's very dusty. What the heck is that? Michelle Wall said, what's up? On a House Music Monday morning and another miserable day yesterday for the Bears. Yes, sirree. They stink. Oh, man, Cornelius Squalls. What up, Sports Zoners? Cornelius, what's up, Papa? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. The Plankster is checking in. Good morning, Shawn. Sports Zoners, bear down, baby. I hear you. Listen. I don't know a lot about a lot, but I do know this. More of the usual suspects will chime in as the show goes on. That, my peoples, I can tell you. That I can promise you. Believe that. We got a great show for you, man. We got a lot to talk about. But at 10 o'clock at the top of the hour, Usayd Kosher from BearReport.com is going to join us talking this dumpster fire. If you saw the thumbnail for today's show, Steve-O hit it right on the head. It is nothing but a dumpster fire up at Hallis Hall over on the lakefront. So Usayd Kosher is going to join us. Talk about what he thought went wrong yesterday and what, if anything, he thinks can be done. I mean, let's be honest. What the hell can be done? Truth be told. You know what I mean? I mean, the season's lost 9 in a row. Guys are checked out. Guys are getting hurt. Offensive linemen getting hurt. Yeah, it's a shit show. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a Mickey Ficky shit show. Call a spade. But we also got Bulls to talk. We got college football playoffs to talk. We got Blackhawks to talk. We got a lot to talk, so don't go anywhere, baby. We got a lot. The world doesn't begin and end with the Bears, although many people like to think it does. And maybe the Bears would like you to think it does, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And here's the one thing that before we get too crazy into the Bears, which is we're going to get crazy into them, I hope you guys were able to spend some time with your family this weekend. Family, friends, loved ones. I hope so. The weekend before Christmas. Christmas is less than 48 hours away. Okay, I hope you're able to spend time with your families, friends, loved ones. These are the moments that you remember. Hell, I was at 2 parties on Saturday, 2 different cousins, and at both parties, we both talked about the time that everyone would come over to Grandma's house when I was younger and we lived with Grandma, and how great it was. I just reminisced on the stories from that time. This is it, man. These are the fun times. These are the times where you get to see people you haven't seen before, or you should see people you haven't seen before. And just get to spend some time, quality time, because, life takes us in different directions. All right. And things aren't always the same. And just like I'm sure you have somebody in your family, like in my family, that's the glue. And for us, our family was my grandmother, my granny. All right. And everybody would come to see her, all our kids. All right. They had families of their own. They had Christmas Day there at their house, but they'd always come over to see Grandma. All right. Because we celebrated on Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day, they'd come over to see Grandma because they were celebrating Christmas Eve. So Christmas Day was always a fun time. I got to see all my aunts and uncles and cousins as they would come over, and then this time of year, it's time you reflect, because there's always one or two people that aren't here that were here last year. I mention that all the time. So make sure you cherish those moments, these times right now, the holidays. They're here, and take advantage of them. And because, man, pretty soon it's going to be completely different. All right, for a lot of us and our children and things like that, and the rest of our families. So enjoy. But anyways, guys, you know how we do? The first segment of every show is called Top of the Morning.
It won't come just when you want it. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Here we go. You know, one of the things before we get it is, I'm trying, and Junior asked me if I'm going to go get off my lawn, Shawn, today. And I'm like, you know what? I said, I'm not. I am literally emotionally drained, all right, from this team. I am emotionally drained from this fan base. You know, the idiocy that goes on in this fan base. If it goes on in other fan bases, I am so sorry for your fan base. Like, I am so sorry for our fan base. You know, and maybe it's just this younger generation. All right, but the name calling, the thumb thugs. You're an idiot. You're a clown if you think this. And this is from people who've never played or coached a sport before, a sport, but want to call people clowns because you have a different opinion. And that's the sad part about it. You know, we have different opinions, and we should be able to. Granted, some opinions are stupid. I'm not gonna lie. Some opinions are stupid, but usually those are uninformed opinions. Okay, and even if your informed opinion is different from mine, doesn't make you a clown. Doesn't make you an idiot. And that's the problem that I have with this fan base. Like I said, I don't know how other fan bases are, because I'm not in their chats. I don't live in another city. So I don't get to see, nor do I follow any other, so it's just frustrating when you got so they've emotionally drained me. It's out and out ridiculous. We had people still, and then I'm watching, and I'm having people are starting to. The Civil War is still going on. And it's interesting how people are saying, well, Caleb's already done this, and what did Justin do, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, first of all, let's just let that go. Okay? The fact is, Caleb is a quarterback, Justin's not for the Bears. So why continue to bring that up And then they want to throw all these records and these accomplishments that he had. And remember, I said people were going to do that. I said, here's the thing: we're not going to be able to understand how much this is coaching, and how much of it is nature versus nurture. All right. And I said, if Caleb has a good season, people are gonna go crazy. See, it was the right decision. This, and this, and you're entitled to your opinion. But the problem is that you're not looking at all factors. There's a lot of variables from the coaching. Like, you may not like Shane Waldron, right? But Shane Waldron is a good offensive coordinator. He just can't command a room. He's good at calling plays. He didn't have a problem in Seattle. All right, Russ, Gino, they both had really good years. Gino had a career year, revived his career. And so people are still saying, and people are forgetting the fact that Caleb was named the starter from jump, which means in the offseason he got to work with his receivers because he was going to start. In OTAs, he got to work with his first number one receivers, the first team, because he knew he was going to start. In preseason games, all right, he gets first team reps. If you look at the last two quarterbacks, Justin and Mitch, they weren't scheduled to start, so they got no first team reps in OTAs, in mini camp, in training camp, in spring, in preseason games. It's a big difference. There's a huge difference to have those things. And you sit there and it's frustrating because we could be doing the same thing with Justin had something gone on and had gone another way. And people say, "Oh no, you're crazy." Blah 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 blah. And you sit there and you watch certain plays and you regurgitate what other people who have informed opinions, just different than mine, will say. But then when pressed and said, hey, when presented with evidence to the contrary, when you say, hey, do you remember, the Justin Fields rolling left throws it to the tight end on a diving run, and you have video evidence of showing the passes that were the same, then it's something. Then you're a clown. Then it's name calling, and then, well, he's a bust. He's this. He's like, come on, man. It's frustrating. It really, really is. What do we got over here? Plank said, serious question, Shawn. Which season hurt worse, Sox or the Bears? The Bears, Plankster, because there was a lot in place. The White, and don't get me wrong, the White Sox season hurt like a motherfucker. I ain't gonna bullshit you. That hurt a lot. But the Bears hurt. This one hurts more, probably because of the in-house fighting from our fan base, from the things I was just talking about. And they had people still calling me out a couple weeks ago, or last week, or 2 weeks ago, something like that, still calling me out because, for whatever reason, when you don't need to call or try and put someone down to make yourself look good. I don't need to call out anyone else to make myself look good, to elevate and prop I don't need to do that. I'm not going to say this person's an idiot. I might say I don't agree with them, but I'm not calling people out and calling them names like I'm in high school. So the Bears season hurt because we're all Bears fans, and it's funny because some people think that their opinions are the only ones that are legitimate. I don't agree with a lot of people, but it doesn't mean I don't respect their opinions. I mean, I like them. They're different from mine. But the Bear season, Plank, it was set up, all right, and I think the buttermilk icing on this cow cake is that we were promised so much. We were promised. We were promised that just add quarterback and go. Just add quarterback and go. The previous quarterback wasn't it. Well, I disagree with that. But with this guy right here, it was just add him and go. He's going to be better. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Okay. And it hasn't been that. And people want to go to the numbers. And I'm like, you have two number one receivers. One of them is a future Hall of Famer. And you have a first-round draft pick as your third receiver. Who you have a tight end who's top 10 in the top 5 tight ends in the NFL that you've neglected. Six targets over the last 5 games? How did you go? How does that happen? I just don't get it. But we were promised a whole bunch of goods. Okay, from everyone who thought they knew, who could dive into the tape, because it never lies. All right, we could dive into the tape. He's accurate. He's this. He's that. He's this. He's that. Okay. And then when he's not this and that, then people have an agenda against him. Come on, man. People who say they don't have an agenda have an agenda. So this is why this one hurt, Plank. Because look, oh man, the Bears gonna be this, the Bears gonna be that, the Bears gonna be this. But now he's a rookie. But wait, he's just a rookie now. Now he's just a rookie. Before he was the Messiah, now he's just a rookie. And everyone says, well, look at Peyton Manning. I said, Peyton Manning didn't have a DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, and a DeAndre Swift. He didn't have that. And all this thing, it's frustrating because the loudest people in the room are the most ignorant ones. The most ignorant ones. Because you don't take into account all of the factors. And that's the frustrating part. Because you have an agenda, you want to win, you want to be right. Okay. I mean, I don't know what it proves to be right. I mean, when you get a trophy, you get a medal, you get a ribbon. Not that you're right. I'm just saying I wonder what you think you win. But the Bears were a situation where we're all looking forward to a good season. There's only 17 games. Planks, there's only 17 games. You know that. And man, and they don't play every day like baseball, every other day like basketball, or every other day like hockey. It's once a week. Well, in our case, 3 times in 11 days, but that's another story. 12 days. But you know what I mean? So we there's a lot of buildup, a lot of talk about it. And we were supposed to be good. We were supposed to be good. And the falling apart of this organization killed us. It fractured us. It fractured this fan base to the point where you can't even have a discussion without being called names. And these are from people who've never played the game before. And again, if you play the game and coach the game and we have a difference of opinion, guess what? We'll agree to disagree. I don't have to like your opinion. I don't have to agree with your opinion. I just respect it, especially if you play the game and or coached it. I'll respect it. I don't agree with it. But man, this is so crazy, man. It's Cornelius, you're right. It's become a cesspool for sure. He says all the negativity is a turnoff. It really is. And if people have the audacity, well, if you want, well, why don't you go become a Steelers fan? Who the fuck are you to tell me who the hell I should root for and who I shouldn't root for, who I can root for, who I can't root for? Interesting how people, oh, well, you should do this. How about shut the fuck up before you get slapped in the face? It's so annoying. But you know what? The thumb thugs, they say stuff on internet because they know they're not going to get slapped. And I said, the loudest people are the most ignorant ones. The expectations were high. We were talking playoffs, possibly division title, and that came crashing down. So Plankster, it is definitely, hands down, the Bears season hurt a lot more. And probably because of my love for the game of football and the Bears. All right, you see I just got my brand new Bears hat. So funny story, my cousin asked for in our Secret Santa, he wanted a fitted Bears hat. So I go to Lids. Actually, I went to a buddy of mine's store, but it's in a city. And I was going to get a hat there. And I was like, shoot, I better not. I said, because if it doesn't, because my cousin didn't put his size. How are you going to ask for a fitted hat and not put a size? So I'm like, no, let me go to Lids, because there's Lids all over in the Chicagoland area. He lives out in the burbs. I mean, he wouldn't have to come into the city to change the hat if it didn't fit him. So I went to Lids. I saw the hat that I wanted, and they didn't have my size. Like, well, I know it's for my cousin, but I'm like, I just wanted to see if they had anything. And I saw this one. Solid, just all solid. Boop. All solid. Nothing else. Put the NFL logo on the back. So let me try this one. Put it on. Perfect fit. I was like, oh, snap. So I ended up getting this one from my cousin and myself. Oh, man. Well, listen. I went off on a little tangent because I was annoyed with people, and people still bringing up other stuff like, see, he's not a bust. He's this, he's that. I'm like, dude, did you realize how much? Imagine if Jaden Daniels had this receiving core. Jaden Daniels got a good one, because Jaden Daniels is going to be the offensive rookie of the year, hands down. But here's what we're going to do. Before we are actually going to do top of the morning, but we're going to take a quick break. I got to get the warden off to CrossFit, and I'll come back on the other side of the break, and we'll get it cracking. All right. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey, it's your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
How do you take care of your mind health?
For my mental health, I meditate in the mornings.
I have my dogs. They're the best.
I just find ways that help me just relax.
Finding things that make me happy, like being close to my family.
I meditate a lot and read books.
I have hobbies outside of the game. I'm able to switch off. I'm able to turn my brain off from the game of basketball.
Your mind health matters.
Your mind health matters.
We are looking for a few heroes, mentors, trailblazers, innovators, a passion to change lives, spark curiosity, open hearts, and awaken minds, help students answer the question, who am I? This could be your calling, but this is no job. It's the journey of a lifetime. Be a hero. Be a teacher.
Mental health and learning disorders don't discriminate. 17 million children and adolescents in the United States live with disorders like anxiety, depression, ADHD, and dyslexia. Less than half get the help they need to thrive. Help the Child Mind Institute change these children's lives. Visit childmind.org.
Fake to Swift. Fake to Swift. Now the catch made by DJ Moore. For a Bears first down out to the 40, gain of 11.
The game have to help out in the run.
Screen, it's Swift. Out across the 40, the original line of scrimmage. Third down and 6. Goff stands in the pocket, hit as he throws, and the pass incomplete. And off, fake to Swift. Williams throws wide open. Keenan Allen for a Bears first down out at midfield.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. Those clips courtesy of Fox. Those are the boys yesterday. Those are our Bears on the lakefront. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to our first top of the morning topic, and that's where we are going to start. First top of the morning topic, the Bears, baby. Only the Bears. Only the Bears. The Bears with a rough day at the office yesterday. The Bears lose to the Detroit Lions 34-17. What is he doing? There we go. Thank you. Took you long enough. 34-17. Caleb Williams, 26-40. 334 yards, 2 touchdowns with a 107.7 rating. Keenan Allen turned the clock back, 9 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know, I have 41. Pardon me. There you go. 141 yards and a touchdown. Rome Odunze, 4 catches. Rome Odunze had a weird, interesting day. If you saw my post-game wrap-up, it's a bittersweet day for Rome Odunze. Rome had 4 catches for 77 yards, but also had 2 fumbles in the game, which were counterproductive. DJ Moore, 7 catches for 69 yards. Rough day. Our defense gave up 474 yards total to the Detroit Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs had over 100 yards receiving, 100 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Jameson Williams had 100 plus and a touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown just under 100 and a touchdown. So our defense was very porous yesterday, giving up 34 points. And luckily, the defense held. And I think, I think Detroit might have been able to put up more. But, this 34, first of all, 34 is enough. But, yeah. Next top of the morning topic, the Bears. This quick turnaround for the Bears. The Bears host the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday at Soldier Field. Thursday night football, baby. Kickoff is at 7:15 p.m. You can catch that game on Prime Video, or it's going to be here on Fox 32 locally. All right. Watch that game on, as I said, Prime or Fox, or listen to it on their flagship station, ESPN 1000. That's 1000 AM. Next top of the morning topic, the Bulls are in action tonight, baby. Only the Bulls. Only the Bulls. That's what I'm talking about. The Bulls host the Milwaukee Bucks tonight at the United Center. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Central. You can catch that game on Chicago Sportsnet Plus or listen to it on their flagship station, 670 AM. The Bulls just had a home-and-home with the Boston Celtics. They beat the Celtics in Boston, I want to say on Wednesday, and lost to them on Friday. Here And you get the champs. The champs is here. No, those were the champs, the Celtics. I mean, you got the Milwaukee Bucks. These are the NBA Cup champion Milwaukee Bucks. So we can we beat them. Well, we beat them right. We can knock them off the little pedestal. But the Bucks are coming to town. Giannis, Diamond Dame Lillard, Bobby Portis. They have a nice little squad. So, but keeping it moving, the next half of the morning topic, the Blackhawks, baby. The Blackhawks are at the Minnesota Wild tonight. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. Central, also, just like the Bulls. And they are on Chicago Sportsnet. The Bulls are on Chicago Sportsnet Plus. The Blackhawks are on Chicago Sportsnet. Or you can listen to the Hawks on their flagship station, 7:20 a.m. Now, keeping it moving, man, if you like college football, you must have had a blast this weekend. The college football playoffs, the quarterfinals are set. New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve to all my peoples in the struggle. The Fiesta Bowl. Fiesta. Cue up R. Kelly. At 6:30 p.m. Central. Number 3, Boise State takes on number 6, Penn State. As Penn State won their opening round matchup. Interesting. I personally don't think Boise State has what it takes to beat Penn State, but I'm not a big fan of Penn State's quarterback, and they're talking about he might be the number 1 quarterback coming out of the draft this year. Or is that next year? I think it's next year. I'm not a big fan of quarterbacks. Big fan of Penn State's quarterback. I don't know. Call me crazy. But, man, they got some linebackers over there. Linebacker U with Penn State. I don't know if Boise State has enough horses to run with Penn State. But we'll see. That's why they play the games. That's on New Year's Eve. That's a week from tomorrow. New Year's Day, you have a litany. A litany of games. The other 3 games. The Peach Bowl, high noon. Number 4, Arizona State versus number 5, Texas. Arizona State got the bye as they bumped Notre Dame down to number 7. So they got the bye. I don't ever remember Arizona State being that good in football, truth be told. So I'm taking Texas. It's a 4-5 matchup, so it's not that big of an upset. But I think Texas might have too many horns. I think Texas might be a little too strong for Arizona State. Quinn Ewers, quarterback. Don't forget Arch Manning, backup. That's the Peach Bowl. That's game number 2. I'm sorry. That's game number 2, but game number 1 on Saturday. Game number 2 on Saturday, which is game number 3 overall, is the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. 4 o'clock Central Time, number 1 Oregon versus number 8 Ohio State, just like the good old days, the Big Ten, the Pac-10. Oregon's in for a fight. Ohio State's going to come out. Ohio State looked good yesterday. Or this weekend, excuse me. But I'm excited to see how this game plays out. This game's going to be a good one. Ohio State has the horses to run with people. They just had a couple of mishaps during the season. Now they get the top dog, number 1 Oregon in the Rose Bowl. New Year's Day in my Peter Brady voice, because it's time to change. This one might be the best one of all. I'm not sure. It's in the top 2. Because the last game, the fourth and final game of the weekend, the third game on Saturday, on New Year's Day, excuse me, not Saturday, on New Year's Day, is this one. The Sugar Bowl in Nolens, 7:45 p.m. Central kickoff. It pits number 2 Georgia, them dogs, versus number 7 Notre Dame. Notre Dame put a whooping on Indiana over the weekend on Friday. But now you're definitely taking a step up in class. However, Carson Beck, the quarterback for Georgia, I don't know if he's playing or not, and he had been really, really suspect the last few weeks of the season. Majority of the season, he was suspect. I wasn't a big fan of his when I watched him. He didn't command the huddle. He didn't have that confidence. He didn't seem to have the how can I put it? He didn't have it when I watched him. And I watched him a few times. He just didn't have it. Now he's hurt, so it might even benefit Georgia if he doesn't play. It might benefit Georgia if he doesn't play. That'll be a nice upset for Notre Dame, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised. Marcus Freeman has his Notre Dame team playing very, very well. And they especially, well, let's see, we got some other people finally checking in. Let's see, Plankster, Mashawn, Cornelius, Jay Grizz checking in. What's up, Papa? How are you? Jay Grizz says, bear down. Good morning, sports owners. What up, SuperBack? Chilling. How about them Irish? Jay Grizz said, we're about to talk about it right now. James Ford checking in. What's up, Papa? Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Marcus Freeman has these boys playing well. They have a stud running game. It's going to be tested. You got them athletes in Georgia. It's going to be quite the chess match. And my question is this. Can Love and I can't remember the other running back's name from Notre Dame, can they outrun the Georgia secondary if they get to the third level, excuse me? Because that boy ran. Oh, Charlie. Just gone. That was Indiana. It wasn't Georgia. I was against Indiana, not against Georgia. But I do like I love the running game. I love the power football. I love the play action off of it. Jadarian Price, thank you. The other running back at Notre Dame. Yes. Tell you. Whew. Defense and running game travel. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one, Notre Dame, Georgia. That's why I said this might, the one prior to it, I said this could be the best one, Oregon, Ohio State. I said probably the top two. Because I think this is the other one in the top two of these four games, Georgia and Notre Dame. And no disrespect to Arizona, Texas. All right, or Boise State, Penn State. Boise State, Penn State, I don't think Boise State they don't have the horses. I think they had a good year. I think the competition they play isn't up to snuff. They had a good record. They got Gianti, Ashton Gianti, the Heisman runner-up. But that's about it. Can you stop them? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Because if you don't, that dude can run. That young man can run. And it's very similar to Barry Sanders. So can he get loose against Penn State? You know what I've noticed? Whenever you have a good running back, I know this is going to sound really stupid but offensive line play is exceptional. Remember when Jonathan Taylor was destroying people up in Wisconsin? Okay. Wisconsin usually has a good offensive line. Big boys, usually country home-fed boys. Most of the offensive linemen from Wisconsin. But they were getting to their blocks cleanly. So Jonathan Taylor was going through the first level, second level, getting to the third level with little or no contact at all. Little to no contact at all. And I'm seeing the same thing with Boise State. With Boise State. However, this is a step up in competition. I'm not saying Boise State can't handle Penn State. What I'm saying is we're going to find out if they can handle them. I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying I want to see. Because you see the combo blocks, chipping to the next backer, to the backer. Wow. They get to the second level, I'm telling you, and it was a beautiful thing, especially when Barry Sanders, I remember when he was playing at Oklahoma State, they did the same thing. Can Boise State free up or get to the second level and get these backers? If you can get these guards in the center on the backers, Gianti is going to run wild. Penn State is Penn State. So we're going to see. Man, my man, King Booker World, just checking in. He says, salute, chat, and Shawn. Good morning, King Booker World. Thank you for tuning in, Papa. I appreciate it. The Sugar Bowl is going to be, I'm telling you, I can't wait to see Georgia Notre Dame. The last two games are going to be dope. So don't bother me. Don't call me. Don't text me. Unless it's Junior Armando. Unless it's Junior Armando. Don't text me. I don't hear anything. From 4 o'clock on. From 4 o'clock to 11 o'clock. I want to hear from anybody. And lastly, the last top of the morning topic, and this is a sad one. This is a frustrating one. The man of steel himself, Rickey Henderson, passed away. Rickey Henderson passed away on Friday. He was 65. Passed away due to complications from pneumonia and asthma. And let me just tell you, this was the man. Rickey Henderson has done stuff. This is probably the most unbreakable record ever. 1,406 career stolen bases. He's a 10-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, American League MVP in 1990, American League Championship Series MVP in 1989, the year he won the World Series. That was a Giants versus the A's. He was playing with the A's. Gold Glove Award winner, 1981. 3-time Silver Slugger Award winner. 12-time AL stolen base leader. The Oakland A's Hall of Fame. And he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. The records he holds, the MLB records he holds are most career stolen bases for 1,406. Career runs, 2,295. And he holds a single season stolen base record with 130. 130 stolen bases in a season. Are you freaking kidding me? That's what I'm talking about. This is when you played the game. This is when you understood there was so many different aspects to playing baseball. He also holds the MLB record for leadoff home runs. What was that, 81? Don't quote me. I didn't get that. I want to say it was 81, and I could be mistaken. This guy was it. He was a man born in Chicago, believe it or not, but grew up in San Francisco. Grew up in San Francisco after being born here and got to play for his Oakland A's. How cool is that? That'd be like me being born here and getting to play for the Bears. Although I wouldn't want to be playing for the Bears now. Actually, yeah, I would. I ain't gonna bullshit you. I would. I would. I'd still want to play for the Bears. But man, watching Ricky Henderson play as a kid was something special. Because you didn't know. We let off the game. Like, you couldn't go. Cornelius, he does have the most home runs and most leadoff home runs in history. Yes. Yes, he does. And I want to say it's like 81 or something like that. My apologies. I didn't. You know, a guy wrote it down. Yeah, it is 81. Most leadoff home runs, 81. First ballot Hall of Famer, the Man of Steel himself, as STEAL, the Man of Steel, Ricky Henderson. Rest in peace. Rest in power, my friend. Because, man, you were an inspiration to a lot of us growing up in that time. A big-time inspiration. Man. Yes, Cornelius, 81. Brandon Schutz checking in. What's up, Papa? Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. But what we're going to do, we're going to take another break. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk a little Bears. All right? Usayd Kosher is going to join us from bearreport.com. We're going to talk about the dumpster fire that is the Chicago Bears. There's no easy way to put it, no nice way to put it. It is, you know, the old saying, it is what it is. It's a freaking dumpster fire. So keep it locked right there, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're back after these commercials right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago.
Hey, it's your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra, and be sure to follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, and our Roku channel. You can find us at Sports Zone Chicago, and on Twitter, we are at Sports Zone Shy. Also, be sure to download our mobile app so you can take Sports Zone Chicago with you on the go.
Time out. How are you feeling right now? Happy? Excited? Angry? Overwhelmed? One of the best things you can do for your mind health is to name what you're feeling. It can sharpen your awareness and help you talk about your feelings with someone you trust. Here are 3 questions to ask yourself. Where are your thoughts right now? In the past, the present, the future? Do you notice any sensations in your body? Is your heart beating fast? Is there a flutter in your stomach? Or are you fully relaxed? What do you need right now? Time with others? Time to yourself? Remember, there's power in this awareness. So find ways to identify what you're feeling today.
Megan. Hey, Jessica. Megan, you're a tramp. Brian Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He said your breath smells like garbage. And he almost puked. He says you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? Your makeup makes you look like a clown. That zit is huge, zit face. Ugly.
Hey, bud, what you doing?
I'm playing with cars.
Cars? Can you show me what a car does? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on a second. First of all, this is a school zone. So you need to put down your cell phone, stop texting, and let's get to driving. Now you're coming up to a stop sign, right? You need to slow down and stop before you hit that Y line. I want you to look left, right, left. You don't want to get hit by a car going on your left, and to your right to make sure you don't get sideswiped by a guy coming from your right. You're coming, and you see a crosswalk. You better slow your horses down, because the #1 rule of driving is always yield to pedestrians. Now stop, pull over, and you are done driving. Gosh, what do they teach you kids in school nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, I don't know if we. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we cut the lead by more than 10. Look, I've been through this before with trying to find the positives and stuff.
Right.
It's just not. This is not good enough. So we got to find ways to be better, and definitely shooting ourselves in the foot early on, and obviously some turnovers here and there. But yeah, just overall, just not good enough.
It's something I'm sure that you guys have talked about every week about getting off to a
Yeah, I mean.
positive right now. Positive right now. Can you take anything positive for this the way?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, I don't know if we cut the lead by more than 10. Look, I've been through this before with trying to find the positives and stuff.
Right.
It's just not. This is not good enough. So we got to find ways to be better, and definitely shooting ourselves in the foot early on, and obviously some turnovers here and there. But yeah, just overall, just not good enough.
It's something I'm sure that you guys have talked about every week about getting off to a fast start. Can you put your finger on why you're not getting those fast starts?
No, I feel like I've been asked that week in and week out, and we just haven't been able to fix it. So I mean, you can look at it seems like a different thing every week, and I think today was some penalties and turnovers and some mental mistakes, and that's where we're at.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning at Sports Zone Chicago. I have no idea, guys. I apologize. This is crazy. We had an issue the other day. Now we're having an issue again with the video. What the heck is going on? What is going on? I have no idea. But I was supposed to be Cole Kmet in the locker room after the game. Well, that was him, but he was a lot more fluid when we were there, and I was recording that video. So, but anyway, my next guest covers the Bears for BearReport.com. Glad to have him on. Saw him yesterday up in the press box, actually in the locker room, and got to see him. As I said, he covers the Bears for BearReport.com. He's also a high school offensive coordinator and O-line coach. All right, you can find him on Twitter at Usayd Kosher. Guys, it's welcome back. Welcome to Shawn and Maya for the first time, I believe. Usayd Kosher. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. This is actually, if I can remember correctly, I think the second time that I have been on here, but because of my schedule and everything, my day job, my appearances on here are so few and far between, but I always enjoy coming on here and then just seeing you at Soldier Field whenever we get the chance to, which I was thinking of this yesterday. I'm like, as long as I have kind of been able to sit in the press box, it seems like they've lost every single game dating back to like 3 years now. So I think that there is this kind of effect that I'm having on this team. I don't know. You can tell me that I'm wrong though.
So you're the mush. It's your fault.
Something like that, I guess. Something like that.
Like a Bronx Tale. Put him in a closet. Put him in a closet. No. Well, I was able. I didn't have they were messing around with the credentials earlier, and so I didn't get there until their first 3 game when they had their 3 game stretch at home. So they haven't won since I've been in the press box this year either. So I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. So maybe it's you, maybe it's me, maybe it's a combination of both of us that's stopping them from winning at home. And I went to San Francisco, and man, they didn't have a shot there. That was god awful. But let's get right to it, man. What do you think? Yesterday, the Bears had a chance. All right, Detroit was down. They had 19, 20 guys on the injured list. The majority of them were on defense. They lost their stud 3 technique. They lost Aiden Hutchinson, their edge rusher, lost a couple linebackers. And they still couldn't run the ball. What do you attribute that to, the Bears not being able to run the ball against some second and third team defensive players on the line on the Lions defense?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Bears got outcoached in this game flat out. Now, you look at yesterday from the first 3 drives that Detroit put together versus really the first 3 that the Bears put together. I mean, there is a world of difference between both of these teams. Yes, the Lions have the advantage, every single advantage on offense. But then you really look at defensively, I mean, the Bears couldn't get anything in the run game going simply because you saw a lot of those 2s and 3s that were starting for Detroit basically just playing with sheer effort is really all that it was yesterday. That's a team that is well on their way to what a lot of people in Detroit believe is going to be a massive deep run in the playoffs. And so you ultimately look at it, it was literally just 2 things. Number one, it was, hey, we're going to we know you guys love to run outside because you can't run inside because you don't have the interior offensive line to go ahead and do that. Right. So you can't run between the tackles, the whole north-south running. I mean, if you're going to north-south run, Roschon Johnson should have been the primary ball carrier. But and then it was, hey, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take away your edges. We're going to take away your ability to run outside because I have to go back and watch the L22. But what I found just sitting upstairs yesterday is the simple fact that the Lions almost always had at least 1 or 2 defensive linemen or linebackers sealing off the edge. And there was always a corner or a safety that was coming up in support, which is just incredibly smart game planning because it was just like, hey, we're going to take away every possible threat that we believe you have. And I think it's interesting because if you look at that first game, what's up, Jay Grizz? If you look at that first game on Thanksgiving, the Bears were able to at least run the ball outside. And the Lions said, nope, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take that thing completely away this time around. And we're literally going to force you guys to try and beat us, which obviously the Bears offense didn't get clicking until points in the second half. But that's just what this team is this season.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. They consistently get off to slow starts and can't figure out why. You can't figure out why. I'm not a big fan of the play call. Play calling, a lot of times they'll give it to DeAndre Swift on first down. Okay, gain of 1, 2nd and 9. Then throw a quick screen out to the side. Gain of 2, 3rd. Now you're at 3rd and 7. So you keep playing behind the sticks. Like there's not a lot of creativity. Just some. I think the play calling is crazy. Talk to you about this offensive line though. Why that could be the reason why the play calling is crazy. All right, the offensive line is having issues. Health issues. First of all, talent issues. They're not very talented. Secondly, they're having health issues. Talk to me about how you feel this offensive line has played up to this point this year and yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's been about as bad as I think I expected it to be. And there are a couple of reasons why. So I think that number one, when you kind of look at the Bears right now and you kind of look at this team and you start to really look at where they're at. So I had noted this back during training camp where I was watching the warm-up drills that, the offensive line warming up, a lot of the drills that they do. And I'm like, okay, so this is interesting. They have done 2 things here. Number one, they have completely changed up the entire running game, which we all know, I think, has come back to bite the Bears massively this season. And again, these are things that I was saying back in July and August. And then the second thing is they literally modified their warm-up drills to suit what it is that they were going to be doing in the running game, with a lot of these linemen moving laterally and, trying to get up the field, working to that second, third level. A lot of those post drive drills where you will split the defender in half. And then what happens is the guy that's nearest to the outside and sees the first threat will disengage from the primary defender, work up to that second level defender. And again, in an ideal world, that's what the Bears are kind of doing this season. But unfortunately, right, this kind of has not necessarily even been remotely close to what anyone at Halisol thought it was going to be. And I believe it's two reasons. Number one, let's be honest, Braxton Jones, as good as he is, which Ian Rappaport just tweeted that Jones he's undergoing further testing, but has a broken ankle and should hopefully be back before training camp. But again, we don't know what the 2025 Bears are going to look like. So number one, I just think the fact that Braxton Jones has been here 3 years now, he's consistently put some good tape out there, but he's also put bad tape out there. And we kind of consistently see that, okay, maybe, just maybe, he is all he really is going to be is an above average left tackle. Tevinjenkins has been healthy this year, but it's he left outside of one game, but he left that game yesterday with a calf injury, didn't return. Now, again, the good news is that for those of you guys watching and wondering, Tevin was in the locker room after the game, which usually tends to be a pretty good sign of where a player is at with injuries. We'll know more as the injury reports come out later this week. But again, Tevinjenkins, when he's healthy, he's great, but he just hasn't been consistently healthy. I think that we're finally seeing all of the health issues from the last couple of years catch up to him. Like Coleman Shelton, great. You brought him in because he was familiar with Shane Waldron, and you wanted a veteran center to help out your rookie quarterback. And then, the entire right side of the line, Nate Davis was a whole fiasco. The Bears clearly never planned for life after Nate Davis. That's why you've had guys like Matt Pryor starting. Darnell Wright's been good, but if I'm going to be honest, for a guy drafted inside the top 10, in a draft where there were 2 to 3 other offensive tackles taken inside the top 15, I would say that Darnell Wright still has a long way to go, and the Bears certainly have botched his development, because I look at Arizona, Paris Johnson Jr. seems to be doing great. You look at Pittsburgh, right? Broderick Jones is doing phenomenal as well, but it's just Darnell Wright, he just has not been able to go ahead and really kind of pop off in a way that I really hoped he would this year. And so it's kind of just led to this effect of if you're the Bears right now, forget everything else. You have your guy at quarterback. Every single resource needs to be used on fortifying this offensive line. Because there was, and I've said this consistently, if you look at the division, within the division right now, if you look at you look at Minnesota, you look at Green Bay, you look at Detroit, right? The commonality between the two teams that are leading in the division right now is that they spent a first-round pick on a franchise left tackle, or just a franchise tackle in general. Yeah, the Bears have done that, but then they also haven't invested enough of those high picks, or as much as we'd like to, and that's all coming back to bite this team right now.
I couldn't agree more, Usayd. I couldn't agree more. It refuses to invest in the protection of the franchise quarterback is unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. Once you decided that Caleb Williams was going to be your guy, all right, and he was going to go with the number 1 pick, your second pick shouldn't have been Rome Odunze. It should have been a stud left tackle. But to me, the issue is Ryan Poles. All right, you don't get a Lamborghini and then go to Geico for auto insurance, or go to, you go get some good top-notch auto insurance for your car. And what he did is on the cheap. Braxton Jones is he's okay. The 5th round, 6th round pick. He's just not built to be a left tackle, a stud left tackle. I think your assessment was right on. I had him as an above average left tackle. That was his ceiling. And not a good left tackle, not a stud left tackle, just above average. And it seems like that's where he's at. And it's unfortunate that Ryan Poles, a former lineman, can't see the value in having good offensive linemen and protecting your franchise quarterback, which is why he is the most sacked quarterback. One of the reasons why he's the most sacked quarterback in the NFL this year. What do you think about Ryan Poles? We'll get back to obviously the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and that's Caleb Williams. What do you think about Ryan Poles and his stability here? Do you think they're going to bring him back, or do you think he may be let go in the offseason?
I mean, honestly, I don't have the Bears winning the last 2 games. I don't see how this guy should survive a 11 game winning or 11 game losing streak, because it's gotten to the point now where um this is okay. So first things first, right? I think we have to acknowledge that for all the hype that was created this past offseason with Hard Knocks and just the offseason the Bears had, the reality I think of it is very simple, is that the Bears haven't lived up to expectations. And again, a lot of it I think stems back to retaining Matt Eberflus, knowing that this past offseason your team was at a critical point, which was, who do we bring in here? How do we take the next step? And the Bears kind of did what the Bears will always do, right? Like this is a franchise that's notorious for, hey, we're just going to kind of be too patient. And then when, things start to fall apart, that's when we're going to act urgently and make a change. Poles is, I don't think he's safe. And the reason I don't think he's safe is simply because if you are Kevin Warren, you're kind of looking at this thing right now and you're saying, hey, you know what? We can't afford to be too patient, because this is the type of league where, number one, you have to be aggressive. Number two, you have to strike while the iron's hot. And to do both of those things, you effectively have to have the right people that are operating with a right sense of urgency in the building. And the reality is that, Ryan Poles to me has been incredibly patient, because we look at a guy that's had 10 top 100 picks over the last basically 3 NFL drafts. Now, which of those picks, are we legitimately looking at? And again, let's take Caleb Williams out of the picture. Like, which of those picks are we looking at? And are we saying, okay, are legitimately stud building blocks, And when you have 10 inside the top 100, then you would think that a good organization would have, and a good front office would have the entire team, the product that's on the field, really on the way to contention. But unfortunately, that just has not been the case at all. And my fear with the Bears is this, is that you bring back Ryan Poles in 2025. And what that's going to do is you're going to go out, you're going to hire an offensive minded coach, which again, if we look at the upcoming hiring cycle, there's more offensive minded head coaches available, and they are going to be ultimately the hot commodity. But you bring, an offensive mind head coach in here, and then what happens is you have 1 to 2 good seasons, and because the GM's too patient, he doesn't want to be aggressive, that ultimately derails the progress of this team with Caleb Williams as a rookie quarterback, and regarding the whole draft picks, salary cap space, that is something that has to be addressed as well, because I see Cornelius kind of, brought this point up. So do we like the fact that Ryan Poles has made a habit out of stacking draft picks and try and build through the draft? Absolutely. However, my issue, and is he patient in free agency? Yes, because historically the Bears have always been a team that has been an overspender in free agency and kind of made these erratic moves that we may not always agree with.
Tremaine Edwards.
Tremaine Edmonds, I'm going back to Cordero Patterson obviously was another one. Head scratcher signing that I was like, wait, what? Buster Screen as well. So there has to be kind of this fine line in terms of how you're using, free agency / the draft to really supplement each other. Because to me, the draft is where you find your building blocks. Free agency is where you go ahead and you kind of find and plug some of your holes. Now, my issue with Ryan Poles, though, is when it comes to plugging somebody's holes with good veteran talent, is the fact that a lot of the evaluations he's missed on, right? Then the second thing is he's, in a sense, too patient, simply because you end up in a situation where when you're too patient, you're kind of like, hey, we don't want to pay, enough money, or we're not going to pay up to market price. We're going to go for a lesser option. Number one, you end up with a lesser option. Number two, you end up buying, bringing someone in that maybe is not as talented. You're bringing in a guy that is on the open market for a specific reason. A lot of the players that signed are on the open market simply because there wasn't enough room to bring those guys back with their previous teams. There was not enough room to go ahead and, sign them with the new salary cap, or those guys were just underperforming and those franchises said, hey, we're going to go ahead, we're going to find a true upgrade, even if it's an upgrade as a depth piece, which, the Bears to me in free agency are the classic example of one man's trash is another man's treasure, because that's ultimately what's happening here under Ryan Poles.
Yeah, the depth which Ryan Poles was so adamant about, the offensive line depth has really come back to bite him. And it's frustrating. I don't know if I would bring him back. Some people say he should come back, but the thing is, if you bring him back, if you bring him back, you have to extend him. Because if you don't bring him back and you let him play his contract out, that's going to affect the next head coaching hire that you have, because the next head coach is going to want some stability with his general manager. Like, this guy hired me, and me and this guy vibe very well. And if he's gone after a year, now the head coach is in limbo, and a new guy comes in and may want his own head coach. So they're in quite a conundrum here with what to do with Ryan Poles. Either let him go or keep him and extend him.
Yeah, I mean, it is, I think, a certainly interesting question to kind of ask here, because if you are the Bears, you're looking at this thing, and on Bear Report, I've been doing this series, Hallis All Hopeful, where I examine potential candidates. And I will say, if you are this franchise, you are Kevin Warren, you're George McCaskey, you are looking at this thing and you're saying, okay, you know what? We finally, for the first time in forever, feel like we have a legit quarterback. Now, we're not winning a lot of games, but also for the first time in forever, as a result of the quarterback, we're not losing any games either, So if you're those guys, you're looking at this thing and you're saying, okay, every decision has to be centered around the one position that drives everything in this league, which is ultimately the quarterback. And again, the Bears have Caleb Williams, so they have to go out and really strike while the iron's hot. Now, if you're Kevin Warren, you're convincing George McCaskey and you're saying, hey, Poles is good, but the reality is let's go ahead and let's bring in someone that is a proven commodity, that has the resume of being able to call plays, get the most out of his players, put players in a position to succeed, really be creative in terms of not only how he draws plays up, but how he solves problems as well. And from there, bring in someone that's going to get the best out of Caleb Williams. That ultimately is what I believe has to happen for this team, because it's like, if you look at this organization right now, I mean, if you bring, Ryan Poles back, like, fine, you're going to hire a new guy, and all of a sudden, people are going to tune in and watch this team as they should, but then the reality of it also is that you are going to go ahead and you are going to end up in a situation where once things start to fall apart, like, things are going to fall apart, and Caleb Williams is going to go from being this kid who was generational, a guy that came in and was super confident, because that's what he was at the press conference, to a guy who basically, your franchise managed to go and destroy him because of your lack of stability and also just your process not being the best at all. So it's a situation to where, they got a lot to figure out, but your next hire needs to be an offensive-minded guy.
Okay. Well, I don't agree that Caleb is generational. I do think he's extremely talented, but you don't have to be generational to be good, to be great in the NFL. You don't. I think they've definitely done him a disservice. Okay, with the craziness going on, with the coaching staff, and he's got three offensive coordinators, and you could kind of put an asterisk there, because it's really two play callers, because Beatty is now the offensive coordinator now, technically. All right, but he's not calling plays. We all know Thomas Brown's calling the plays. But my thought for him is I agree with you in that his confidence is getting shot. He's getting beat down, and I know he seems confident on the outside, but man, it takes a toll. Emotionally, it takes a toll, and he said so. He's talking to players, he's talking to other people. You're not if you're not talking to people unless it's bothering you. You're not talking to people unless it's weighing on you. You know what I mean? So when people say, "No, he's fine," it's not affecting him. You're kidding. He told us that he's talking to people about this thing because this is something he's never dealt with before. So I think he still can be a great quarterback in this league. I still think he can be a great quarterback for the Bears. But I do agree with you from earlier in the segment. They got to protect him, man. They're just not. They haven't protected him, and that's the Mickey Ficky problem. And that's what bothers me, is that you just haven't done. You haven't done well by this guy. And the same thing, we can say the same thing for Justin Fields. We can say the same thing for Mitch. Okay, this is Groundhog's Day all over again, and it's frustrating when you have talented quarterbacks that you're letting go by the wayside because you refuse to get someone to block for them. So, give me your assessment of how you feel Caleb has played to this point, and then where you think he can go if they actually get someone to who buys him some time.
Yeah, so to me, it is incredibly interesting because we look at Caleb this season, and really you could split the season up into different chunks. The first couple games, obviously, he was struggling. The next couple games, that stretch where you played the Rams, the Panthers, let's call it how it is. I mean, if the Rams and Panthers were to play the Bears right now, the last 2 weeks of the season, I mean, I'm pretty sure based on the way the Panthers played yesterday, they went toe-to-toe with Arizona, and how well the Rams have been playing. I mean, the Bears would probably go ahead and lose. And that is even with Matt Eberflus calling the plays in the event that he was never fired. But to me, Caleb's been good. Caleb's done everything and more you can ask him for, and what I mean by that is the fact that he is playing incredibly efficient football, right? Trying to be aggressive and sling the ball down the field. He is being aggressive when it comes to slinging the ball, but he's also not putting the ball in harm's way with any sort of interceptions. And then he's going ahead, right? And I believe what you really see is a team that is continuing to go ahead and continuing to kind of be a disservice to Caleb Williams simply because they can't clean up on the nitty-gritty details. But from everything I've seen so far, like, mechanically, Caleb's pretty set there, right? In terms of his timing and his footwork. You're also looking at a player who you can just tell is going through his progressions, going 1 to 2 to 3. If one's not there, I'm not going to lock onto that and hope something comes open. Then I'll try to hit 2 or 3. And the other big thing is this, as I've noticed, is that when the Bears go ahead and they have a lot of their quick game stuff going, then you go ahead and you put yourself in a situation to where he's getting the ball out quick and really he's not thinking at all. Now, I will say the one area where I feel like this team needs to consistently be better is they do need to get play action going. They do need to move the pocket more. They haven't done that enough this season. You go back and look at that San Francisco game, and what was incredibly astonishing to me, and I'm surprised that, there's not more conversations about this happening on Twitter, is the fact that Caleb is a quarterback that he can create plays off script, right? So every single time, and this was evident to me in the 49ers game, when you have him dropping back and taking those 3, 5, or 7-step drops, I mean, I'm sure you would know and understand this, right? Because when you have that drop back passing game, the problem with the drop back passing game is that those routes are taking forever to develop. And when you don't have an offensive line, well, those routes may not develop as much as you'd want them to. And the defense is probably going to be in the quarterback's face. So what they have to do here over the next 2 games basically is move away from the drop back passing game, knowing that quick game and moving the pocket has just consistently been something that has been a strength of Caleb's, because every time he got outside of the pocket yesterday and every time he's done it this season, good things have usually happened, and he's been at least able to make something out of a broken play.
I'm in agreement with you. You mentioned, and I hadn't noticed, but now that you mentioned it and thought about it, yeah, they don't move the pocket with him, and that, to me, that's interesting. Why you wouldn't do that? He can make throws on the run. Right, he can throw off platform. All right, so why they didn't move the pocket and help him and save some of his sacks, save some of the body blows, so to speak, that he took in all those sacks? I have no idea. What about this defense? This defense is just gone. They're shot. All right, I think everything really took a big sledgehammer to the chest when Billings went down. Gervondextersr, as we know, was inactive yesterday. So now you got some small guys in the middle of that defense. They're able, Jahmyr Gibbs had over 100 yards on the ground against us yesterday. What What do you want? What do you think the Bears should do with this? Or how should they attack this defense in regards of improving it? Is that with the draft? Is that with free agency? Is that with both?
Yeah, I mean, it really has to be kind of both here, right? And okay, so first off, right, this defense is absolutely shot. Like we were talking to Jonathan Owens yesterday in the locker room, and a couple of us asked him, like, "Hey, what happened on the 82-yard score?" Because that was him and Tyreek Stevenson that got absolutely obliterated on that against Jameson Williams. And he kind of was just like, "Hey, I had clean eyes, clean feet, but the big adjustment that we made is." After the fact was that we just need to go ahead and play deeper. Now, playing deeper is fine. You can do that as a safety, but the problem with playing deeper as a safety is also is that you do risk giving up a lot of the, intermediate routes that offenses may go ahead and develop. Because clearly with this defense, like your linebackers are not playing deep enough either, nor are they good enough to play deep enough. That is just, what it is. And so the reality I think of it all is this, is that with this defense, you fix this thing in two ways. So number one, and I understand the Bears have Austin Booker on this roster, but you go out and you find another good edge rusher. Like you find a good veteran that can be productive, that's an upgrade from a guy like DeMarcus Walker. You go ahead and boom, you slide him in there. Then you go ahead and you start to kind of look toward the draft to say, okay, well, how can we beef up the interior of this team? Because again, if you do stay with a 4-3 scheme, which is a completely other question that needs to be answered as well by this franchise. If you do stay with your 4-3, well, then you're going to need two really good nose tackles. Now, the reality to me is this, is that like Andrew Billings is good. Gervon has clearly popped off this year. But if you have to upgrade from Billings, you go ahead and you upgrade from Andrew Billings, just because you have to be able to take any positional group as good as it is and continue to make it even stronger. So this is a good draft class coming up here for a lot of these younger, defensive linemen. Obviously, just looking here in the Midwest alone, the Bears do have connections at Ohio State. So some guys like Tyleik Williams, guys like the two Michigan guys, Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, should certainly interest the Bears. You go look at Georgia, right? The SEC, obviously that entire defense is going to go ahead and probably be in the draft once again. Edge rushers, I like guys like Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, Michael Williams from Georgia as well. If you pick high enough, maybe even James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. So there's a lot of really good options here for the Bears to kind of start rebuilding this defense. To me, the secondary is not at all an issue. Like, I think that a lot of what we see with Tyreek Stevenson this year, the good and the bad obviously more than the good, has honestly got to be just bad coaching in general, is what it has to be. Because there's no way that you go ahead and you have a rookie that has 4 interceptions, a player that has 4 interceptions as a rookie, that ends up just falling off the cliff the way that he has this year. Like, that to me is just mass organizational dysfunction, and then I would even say this in terms of extensions, like, okay, after this year, Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon are going to be eligible for extensions. Now, if I had to pick between the two, I'm obviously giving it to Kyler Gordon, because I do believe that with the right D coordinator, he can develop into a stud. But maybe you make him play 2025 on a contract type year, and you're like, hey, show us that you've earned a big payday. I would even go so far as to say this: like, if there's one guy on this defense I'm extending as of right now, it's gonna be TJ Edwards, because he has been a baller and the most consistent player over the last couple of years.
Yeah, TJ Edwards has been up there in the league leaders for tackles. He's flying all over the place, and I love the way he plays. Local product, which is great. Not a necessity, but it's great that he's a local product. But you're right, he's a baller. He's in the top 3 every year, the last couple seasons, and I love it. I think this dude is good. Thomas Brown, interim head coach. When do you think they let him know that he's not going to, or do you think they're going to keep him, or do you think he has a legit shot after these 2 games? He got 3 more games to show, or 2 more games to show, but your thoughts on his being named the permanent head coach. Is that a strong reality or not?
Yeah, I really don't think that he has a shot to be named as sort of the permanent head coach moving forward. And again, to me, the reason for it all is just incredibly simple. Is again, you're talking about a guy that has, been really good in a coordinator role, but we may be a few years away from really seeing whether or not he gets a shot as a legitimate head coach. It's always tough when you hire some of these guys, these offensive mind head coaches from the McVay tree. And the reasoning is just so incredibly simple because especially with, McVay, LaFleur, and Shanahan kind of taking over the league the way that they have. The tough part about it is whenever you hire one of their assistants, the results seemingly are never as good as you expect, but also you really don't know what you're getting because the assistant was never in fact the primary play caller, was never in fact the guy that was, yes, he had an influence on the decision making and helping game plan, but he wasn't kind of the sole guy making the decision. So in Brown's case, like I do think that he is an ascending coordinator in this league, but I think the issue is that this year, with all the dysfunction that he's had around him, he really has not been given a chance to go ahead and showcase what he can really do. Now, let's just say if he were the offensive coordinator from the start, and it was kind of, hey, you are the sole man in charge of developing Caleb Williams, well, then you go ahead and then I believe that you start to talk about a completely different story. And that's if the results are different this year. But unfortunately, he is 1 to 2 years away. Now, the Bears will do right by him and at least give him a interview, but even that, let's just call it how it is more so as a formality. If the next head coach is smart, I mean, I do think that it'd be a good idea to keep Thomas Brown around in some capacity, whether that is as a position coach on offense or whether that is, as a offensive coordinator, just because of the work that he's kind of done with Caleb Williams this season.
Yeah, he's done some good work. We saw Caleb short game, his interceptions. That's the one thing I want to ask you. Are you really overly impressed, like a lot of people, with the no interception streak that Caleb has, or do you feel that you want him to you want them to have Caleb take more chances?
It is this incredibly fine line here. And again, I think it's cool to be like, all right, fine, you have a rookie quarterback that is not putting the ball in harm's way. But I believe that part of the problem is that your rookie year is kind of like your basically year where you go ahead and you learn, right? You figure out what defenses are going to throw at you. So to me, this whole concept of like, hey, let's just let him play it safe because, whatever, he's a rookie. We don't want his confidence to get shot. It's kind of like, I don't agree with that at all. And the reason being is because let's just be honest, right? Like the Bears they're basically babying Caleb Williams at this point, which is a bit of an issue because it's just like, you need to go ahead and you need to allow him to continue to be aggressive. This incredibly like laid back approach of just go ahead and, play it safe. Just don't turn the ball over. Don't take chances. It is about, as classic of a Bears mentality as we can get. Whenever we hear like, whenever I watch this team on Sundays, and I've watched every game over the last few years, it is really astounding as to how they managed to take these young rookie quarterbacks, right? These young quarterbacks that were known for being outgoing, known for being aggressive in college, known for being the type of, players that had these, hey, no risk it, no biscuit mentality, in the words of Bruce Arians. Yep. And you basically turn them into these like, players that are playing safe, they're playing conservative, they really don't want to go ahead and really don't want to turn the ball over simply because, they don't want to end up in a situation to where they are in a situation, it's hurting the team, so you need Caleb basically to just go ball out there these next 2 games and take risks. Because let's be honest about something. I mean, your season's going nowhere. Your season has not been going anywhere for the last basically 5 to 6 weeks. And it's at a point where, the reality is this, right? Is it's just like, let him go out there and play his game, because he needs to play. He does have to do a better job of playing within the structure of the offense, but you also need to, as a staff and as a team, find the fine line between what are his strengths, and then how do we fit those strengths into the structure of the offense, and how do we allow the other 10 guys on the field plus the quarterback to play within whatever the structure is for Caleb, because that's what has to happen here, and they haven't done a good enough job of that.
Guys, we're joined by Usayd Kosher. He writes for the BearReport.com, talking Bears football here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on Sports Zone Chicago. I think you should let him throw the ball all over the goddamn yard. All right, and because the Caleb that won the Heisman, or Caleb that was drafted first overall, was a guy who's a little bit of a gunslinger, a little bit of a maverick. Now, I'd rather curtail that a little bit as he makes mistakes. Okay, maybe you don't want to do that. Try this. But when you're trying to coach the Caleb out of Caleb, you're taking the thing away from him, the special thing away from him that made him special. And to me, I think and I don't want him to throw the ball 50 times. No, not at all. I'm saying push the ball down the field. I'm saying make sure 10, 15 yards. Give me a couple of deep shots. Give me one deep shot a quarter. Okay, just so just so the defense knows they got to stay honest, because they know. All right, it's the third quarter. He hasn't done yet. Okay, we got to be ready, because he's going to go deep at one particular point. Otherwise, it's 6. I think they're just too conservative. You know what they remind me of? Parents nowadays, where they're so overprotective. Of their kid. They don't want their kid to fall down and scrape his knee. Guess what? He'll be fine. Like, oh my God, my baby. No. He hurt himself. No, he's fine. He's a kid. He'll bounce back. If Caleb throws, honestly, you say, I don't give a shit if he throws 5 interceptions. I don't. If they're interceptions because he's pushing the ball down the field, because he's trying to deep, a corner route is going deep, or he's trying to fit it in. Okay, good. Because you know what? Now he learns. He learned that he learned he can still be a Caleb, but this at this point might not be a good thing. But maybe in another situation, I can rip it in there. I'm scared if they're coaching the Caleb out of Caleb, and the Caleb that they're coaching out of him is the one that won the Heisman and the one that was an electrifying college player back a couple of seasons ago. And to me, that's the problem. That's the issue that I have with what they're doing.
Yeah, and those are some, really good points. I love the analogy that you use there, where it's like the parents are just, babying the kid. But again, I think, okay, so sitting there week 1 and watching this team, and watching them week 2, then week 3, I was like, this is an offense that's playing with no rhythm, no timing, no tempo. They are not really going ahead, and they are not really, in any way, shape, or form sort of playing with any sense of urgency at all. It's kind of just like a, hey, we're going to wait and see type mentality. Now, to me, I look at this whole thing and I look at it and I'm like, there's been instances this season where it's been like, hey, Caleb, just get rid of the ball, because this is a play that is clearly broken down. I think you and I can both agree that this isn't college anymore. So some of the stuff he did at USC is obviously not going to work. But with that said, you shouldn't go ahead and you shouldn't just fully put him in this box and say, hey, we're putting you in these 4 walls. Like, you have to do this, and that's about it. What has to, I think, happen is this, is, with his arm talent, with his mechanics, with his ability to kind of get out of the pocket and continue to make those plays, you are ending up in a situation to where he's basically shown, hey, I want to make every throw on the field, and you should let me make every throw on the field. The tough part about, obviously, is that when screenshot Twitter comes after me for certain things, I'm like, okay, you're screenshotting a picture saying, oh, receiver's open. Well, you don't know how quickly some of those lanes and those windows close in real time. You also don't know that the pass protection probably broke down there. So the reality of it, I think, like 2.5 seconds after that screenshot took place, or like 2 milliseconds after the screenshot took place. And so you have to basically be in a situation with him where it's just go out there, play freely, let him make those mistakes, because he's putting together a sample size that he's clearly said he's going to study going into the offseason. He's basically said, and alluded to how we're going to figure this thing out, but I also need to be better. Everyone has to be better. So you're putting together a sample size that is going to be something he looks at in the offseason. He comes back rejuvenated, that he's actually ready to improve from.
Yeah, and hopefully he has a coach who knows how to maximize it. Cornelius says, I like that Caleb values not having turnovers. That's the foundation you need for a winning quarterback. I don't recall Tom Brady ever being careless with the football. No, I hear you, but when in a situation where you have but then again, Tom Brady was never a gunslinger either, right? He was never a maverick. All right, Caleb's a maverick. He's a gunslinger. If you watch his, just go back to his tape at Oklahoma, go back to his tape at USC. He's got that Brett Favre, that Aaron Rodgers type DNA in him. So let him use that. And right now, I honestly don't care, because what happens is he learns that I can't put the ball in harm's way. If I do, if he starts throwing interceptions, good, because now he realizes that this is not stuff he can do. All right, he learned quick, fast that he can't outrun a lot of these defensive linemen anymore. He can't shake them the way he used to shake them at USC. He's learned that in the NFL, and he'll learn other things. I'm okay with the turnovers this year and next year, but after that, man, because the longer you hold, the more you corral him, and the more you suppress his natural ability and the way he plays football, it's going to come out at some particular point. And you don't want it coming out late in the fourth quarter. You don't want it in a close game when everything should be, we're on a roll expecting a playoff run or a deep playoff run. I don't know. I just don't think that they're doing him a great service, because I just want to see him, take the rock, sling it, push it downfield, okay, move the pocket, a whole bunch of different things that they're not doing with him that they should be, and that's frustrating to me, because you have to. It's not only having a talent; it's also knowing how to use it. This is what made him good in high school and in college. Let him use that. Remember when they told Trubisky not to run? All right. Well, that kind of screwed him up. When they told Justin not to run, that kind of screwed him up. Let them do what they do. What got him there? There's an old saying: "Dance with who brung you." Okay. If this is what got you to the NFL, then continue to play that way, and coaches need to adjust for it. Just tweak it a little bit. All right. And that it'd be a lot better thing going on, and stop retarding his development, because if he had proper development, Caleb can be one hell of a quarterback. He might be a quarterback that could take the Bears to the Super Bowl. I know some people on here think he is the guy at this stage of the game. I can't say that for sure. I think he can, but he's got to have help.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage in the game, like, we look at the individual product and we certainly say, okay, well, he can certainly be the guy. But then you look at the product around him is on both sides of the ball, plus special teams as well. And you're like, okay, this is not the most encouraging sign at all. And so you can have the quarterback, but you may not have the pieces around him. Like, to me, what is so interesting is I look at the 2024 Bears and how they're handling Caleb Williams' development. And then I look at a team like the Chiefs, and it's polar opposites, and not because the Chiefs have the best quarterback in the game today or arguably the best quarterback in the game, simply because what is so interesting is that the Chiefs have been in so many one-score games this season. It's actually ridiculous. I don't think there's been a Super Bowl champion that's had as many one-score games this season as the Chiefs have had. Now, obviously, Kansas City needs a lot of luck, but the point I'm trying to make here, okay, is that it's like the Chiefs get aggressive because they, for a fact, know that aggressiveness is the way to kind of win in this league. The Ravens with Lamar Jackson get aggressive because they know that being aggressive is the only way to kind of do things in this league. Same thing with the Lions, right? Like, they got aggressive in that game against Green Bay a couple of weeks ago. It was, hey, we need to get out here. We need to be aggressive simply because it's the only way we're going to win. The Bears haven't done that with Caleb Williams, which is why, it's kind of been such a mess this season in terms of just him being able to play loose. It's kind of like, when Justin Fields last year had the I feel sort of robotic comment, or I feel like I'm playing it like I'm a robot. It was simply because, again, they were trying to limit his capabilities. And to me, we haven't heard Caleb make a comment like that this year, but I do believe that you're seeing basically the exact same thing happening here. You're just making Caleb play like a robot and kind of constricting him.
Yeah, and that to me, that's bothersome, because I said, again, I think Caleb is an amazing talent, and I think you have to to maybe change up the way that you're pulling the best out of them, and that's all development. That's all development. You got to understand what they do well, And sometimes I look at you say I'm like, do you even watch this college film? Do you even watch his college film and see what he did well? Because what the Baltimore Ravens did, they went back to Louisville and said, okay, we watched film. Let's just give us your whole offense. Make him comfortable. Let him do exactly what he did in Louisville. Exactly what he did, just at this level. And that's why Lamar is what was like his 5th or 6th MVP. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I'm kidding, of course, for exaggerating for effect. But he's got 3, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's got 2, but maybe he has a 3rd, or maybe this will be his 3rd this year. But you see what they've done. They've allowed him to play the way he played in college, and that's coaching. And they tweak it. It's not like, okay, do everything you did. No, we're going to tweak it at this level because athletes are bigger, stronger, faster. Those windows, they don't stay open as long. An NFL open receiver is not a college wide open receiver. And he had to learn that. And Lamar's gotten good. So I hope the development of Caleb is paramount, the most important thing to this franchise to date. And I hope they get somebody who comes in here and who's able to develop him and pull the best out of him. Because if they pull the best out of him, you say, again, this guy could take us perennially deep into the playoffs. I mean, it could be like every year wondering, okay, are we going to be the home team for the NFC Championship game, or are we going on the road for the NFC Championship game? That type of feel. You know what I mean? Like when you remember back when the Niners were that good, and you might not remember, you might be a little younger. But like the Chiefs, like now, everyone, the Chiefs, like, okay, the Chiefs are going to the AFC Championship. Probably going to be an Arrowhead, but they're expected there to go. That's where I want this franchise to get to. And I think with Caleb could be the guy that does it. So hopefully they get a guy in who maximizes his potential and lets him be Caleb. Because if you let Caleb be Caleb is a pretty damn good quarterback and one who can lead this team very, very far to the playoffs year in and year out.
Yeah, and I'll add on another young quarterback. When the Bengals drafted Joe Burrow under Zach Taylor, they pretty much said, hey, we're going to start running a lot of those LSU concepts in our offense to go ahead and to get our quarterback up to speed with the NFL game, which, I mean, I think, if the Bears were smart here, they would go ahead and they would get on the phone with Lincoln Riley and they would say, hey, give us your offense, what you learned at Oklahoma, what'd you do with Caleb over the last 2 seasons at USC, and let's figure this thing out.
Let me ask you a question. So before we let you go, then who would be your number 1 pick for the Bears head coaching gig? Is it Vrabel because of his discipline? Is it Ben Johnson, the guy everybody wants? Is it Cliff Kingsbury, who's already been a head coach and has a relationship with Caleb? Or is it someone else? Who do you think, in your opinion, who would be the best head coach for the Bears next year?
Okay, so this is a question that is really interesting. Now to me, like, it can't be Mike Vrabel. And the reason being is because, let's call it how it is, like, you hired Matt Eberflus, right? Because you thought you were getting a defensive-minded head coach that was all about, hey, let's play with discipline. Let's just get guys on the same page, keep the locker room together. I mean, you tried doing the same thing with John Fox. They did not work out at all. The league is cyclical, and the league is cyclical in a sense that 2018, 6 to 7 years ago, when the Bears hired Matt Nagy, it was sort of a situation where it was cool to have a young offensive-minded head coach at the time. Then that trend sort of went away as some of these offenses kind of slowed down, and now that trend is, because of guys like Ben Johnson and Joe Brady, is certainly back. Now, to me, I mean, your short list has to be 3 offensive guys: Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, or Liam Cohen. If you're going with the guy that is the surefire product, I mean, it's going to have to be a Ben Johnson or a Joe Brady. Those guys are kind of my 1A and my 1B for obvious reasons, because you've played the Bears over the last basically 3 seasons, right? I would say that it has to be Ben Johnson because he's kind of seeing the evolution of the Bears, and he'd have a lot of really good knowledge as to, hey, this is what you can expect with Caleb Williams. Joe Brady would be, I think, a really attractive option as well. But again, you're taking a guy that may be 1 to 2 years away from being a head coach. Now, Liam Cohen, going back to what I said earlier in the show, yes, he was with Sean McVay for a year in LA and then left to go to the University of Kentucky to be the offensive coordinator. And my issue is, as good as Liam Cohen has been with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs this season, irrespective of that Cowboys-Bucs game last night, again, you're hiring a guy who was largely in the shadows of Sean McVay. He was not the primary play caller. So that to me presents a certain challenge itself. So again, it has to be, Ben Johnson for me. I understand he's the popular fan pick, but if you look at it, like, Ben Johnson at the end of this year is going to have been a coordinator and a play caller for 3 years. Joe Brady, though, has really only been a play caller dating back to like week 9 or 10 of last season. And yeah, he's had his bright moments here and there, but I still believe that the issue with taking a young coach like that, like Joe Brady, being a guy that's only 35, 36 years old, sticking him in a room with an MVP quarterback that someone else developed, because that was really Ken Dorsey and Brian Dable that did that work, you end up in a situation where you're not really sure who the guy is. And again, Joe Brady's done phenomenal this year in terms of adapting his scheme to what the Bills have in terms of talent, especially that purge talent that they had. But again, give me the guy who sort of took a veteran quarterback, a broken veteran quarterback, and has basically made him into an MVP candidate, a guy that has kept up with a lot of the best trends in the league, and a guy who's found a fine line between, hey, we've got really good receivers, we've got a really good tight end, we've got a really good running game. We know the tendencies that our opponents have, but we also know our tendencies. So we're going to continue to adapt year in and year out to create a situation where the players are staying the same, the foundation of the offense is the same, but some of the big picture concepts look slightly different because we want to continue catching these defenses off their off guard.
Guys, he's Usayd Kosher. You can find great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the time. Do me a huge favor, though. Let everybody know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Usayd Kosher. Check out my work on the Bear Report website. I got a cool little series going right now on Bear Report that is discussing, some of the key candidates. So, like, that could be, in the Bears head coaching search. So, like, obviously, Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, Mike Vrabel are up there. Just dropped the Bobby Slowick one at about 8 o'clock this morning. So be sure to check that out as well. And then, feel free to, once you follow me, interact with me, man. I'm always down to have some sort of civil discussion about this team. To me, there's no such thing as like a bad discussion when it comes to the Bears because everyone has different opinions and there's so many different football philosophies out there.
Great stuff, man. I appreciate it. Hey, we'll have you back soon, and are you going to be there Thursday?
Yeah, I will be there Thursday. Yes. So
I'll see you in the box on Thursday, Papa.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate your time, guys. That's Usayd Kosher from BearReport.com. Man, it's good stuff. One of the things I didn't ask him, I probably should have, was we got to take into account. We got to take into account the fact that can Ben Johnson command a room? Remember, Shane Waldron was a great offensive coordinator in Seattle, but he wasn't the top dog. The top dog was Pete Carroll, and everybody knew you don't mess with Pete Carroll. All right, he didn't put up with any bullshit from anybody. All right, except Russ, maybe. But other than that, like, you knew. So is he going to be the judge, jury, and executioner? Do guys respect that? That's important. That's important. You can't just call plays. All right, we had Mark Trestman. We had Matt Nagy. We've had guys who do that type of thing, but you couldn't command a room. Can they command a room? That we don't know. Listen, 2 hours is come and gone. I want to thank my guest, Usayd Kosher, for hopping on, joining, talking Bears football with your boy. Listen, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. There'll be no show on Wednesday for obvious reasons. It is Christmas Day. So make sure that you're able to spend time with your family, okay? Family, friends, loved one. I told you, holidays are the best time of the year, all right, when you're able to do that. And, man, it's just time moves fast, man. And, again, every year, one less person. Christmas Day, I hope whatever day you celebrate, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, whether you celebrate Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, just celebrate it with family and friends. It's going to, it's continue to make memories. Continue to make memories. All right. As I said, this show will be on tonight at 6 o'clock. I'll replay it. But also, we won't be here on Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday. So we got Monday and Friday this week. So great stuff. So for all my peoples, let's see. We got a couple more. Patty checked in. Hey, Patty, how are you, man? Thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. Minister Charles Johnson, thank you for checking in, buddy. I appreciate it. I said hi to King Booker World earlier. Thank you, sir. Cornelius Squalls, you and I are going to be a little bit on opposite sides of that no turnover thing at this stage of the game, and that's cool. I think he should be able to throw, and I'm not saying throw turnovers, throw interceptions. No, I'm saying play the way you played. Okay, and if you have turnovers, don't worry about it. Stop taking the aggressiveness out of him. That's what it is. You can use that aggressiveness and say, hey, listen, when they're in the this defense, don't try and throw this particular pass because of this. I know you got an arm, blah 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 blah. He can learn from his mistakes, and when you learn from your mistakes, it doesn't take the aggressiveness out of you. It changes it. Okay, well, boom, we're not going to do this because it's what's going to happen. Let me try something else. That's all. We can agree to disagree, and that's cool. All right, because I'm not one to call you a name, and like a lot of people in this space, you know what I'm saying, in this podcast world. Because I ain't the one, man. I ain't the one. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and we will see you on Friday. All right. Again, I can't stress enough. Please spend time with family, friends, and loved ones. Okay. I got to get out of here. I got to go get the warden from CrossFit, and I got some stuff I got to do today. So for everyone here at Sports Zone Chicago, guys, I'm your boy, the SuperBack, Shawn Sierra. I am out. I love you. I appreciate the love and support.